It's a hot day in South Africa, and Donald Trump has just come on air to say that he has seen the terrible things going on in South Africa. I live here, and I haven't really seen the terrible things he speaks about. I'm continually amazed at the disinformation that this man sends. I'm amazed that anyone would believe him. We in South Africa are laughing. We honestly are. But what worries me most is that you Americans seem to believe him. Even statements about your own country, you believe that he's doing the best thing. I feel very sad for you and very down. I hope you can get this man out one way or the other. Goodbye.
The statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty, and is a reminder that our reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment surrenders us to the will of imperialists who use money to dictate the economic and policy direction of Africa. We want to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us. His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention, is an assessment of a measure that is going to be pursued through the amendment of our Constitution as South Africans, and there is nothing he can do to undermine our independence.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to AfriPost. I hope wherever you're watching us from, you're having a great time. Now, we saw the other day President Trump warning South Africa of dire consequences if they continue confiscating land from a certain group of people. And the people who are being referred to here are white South Africans, because initially South African Parliament passed a bill that was supposed to ensure that land could be expropriated without compensation. And we know that almost 70% of South African land is owned by white majority. And therefore, this is what is causing problem, because South Africans themselves, who are black majority, are saying that a lot of our land, which is the basic root resource that everybody should have, is owned by whites. And these whites just came to this land some few years ago. Yet we, the indigenous people who have been living in this part of the world, don't own land. So there has been this talk of the need to expropriate land to native South Africans. And this is what led to the passing of this bill. So with that, President Trump said that this bill, according to him, may threaten other people, which is the whites in South Africa. And that is why he was complaining. So in today's video, I came across a clip of a white South African responding to Trump. And if you listen to him keenly, his response will really make you wonder why Trump is so much concerned over this issue. Yet the white South Africans themselves are not feeling what Trump is feeling. Apart from the whites, other people and political parties in South Africa are also responding. For example, Julius Malema, the EFF leader, spoke about this, and I want you to watch this clip, then we shall come back and talk about it more.
United States of America, Donald Trump, who has issued a threat to cut foreign aid to South Africa and impose sanctions on South Africa for adopting legislation that permits the expropriation of land without compensation and implementing policies that addresses historical race-based inequalities in our country. The statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty, and is a reminder that our reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment surrenders us to the will of imperialists who use money to dictate the economic and policy direction of Africa. We want to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us. His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention, is an assessment of a measure that is going to be pursued through the amendment of our Constitution as South Africans, and there is nothing he can do to undermine our independence. The EFF reiterates its position that we must build state capacity, build a strong agricultural and industrial nation which will not depend on the West, and intensify trade relations with progressive nations such as China, Russia, and nations within BRICS who do not use foreign policy as an instrument to impose their will or bully other nations into submission. The EFF policy is the expropriation of land without compensation, and we make no apology about it. It's actually our first non-negotiable cardinal pillar. And the Expropriation Act, as signed now recently by the President, is nowhere closer to that. If anything, it tries to justify the compensation, that properties can be expropriated, land can be expropriated, but there should be compensation, and condition of expropriating such is that there should be, expropriation should be in the interest of the public, for public use and public interest. So it has watered down what we have been asking for, because ours was a complete no-no on the compensation, but equally complete no-no into excluding the whole thing to public interest and public purpose. Because we want to take land and give to the landless, so that they can produce for their own sustainability, but for the sustainability of South Africa and the world at large, because we think it's the right thing to do. BEE, broad-based economic empowerment, it's a policy that should be implemented, whether there is Elon Musk involved or not. It must not be a policy for certain people and a policy for other people. Whatever Elon Musk wants to come and do here, he must make sure there is participation of the previously disadvantaged people. Black people must participate in that transaction. Well, you know, we always put an emphasis that there should be more money into research and innovation if we are to, keep up with the AI. China has got capacity to overtake America because they've invested a lot in innovation, in research, and they've come to appreciate that AI is here to stay and it will be with us for quite some time. So it doesn't, take us, it doesn't take anything away from us if we're to put the necessary resources, because our children, despite the fact that they are learning in difficult conditions, they are talented. We have made it very clear that we are more than prepared to join the ANC and work in the government of national unity. But we can't do it with the people who killed Krisani, the people who tortured our own people, the people who oppressed us, the people who are advocating that every progressive policy must not be implemented. That's why you've got this noise from Donald Trump. They are at the center of that. They thought they were going to bully the ANC in that GNU, and the ANC will develop a cold feet. The ANC is pushing forward ahead. They now are seeking external intervention, which seeks to undermine the sovereignty of South Africa. So the ANC must know that we are just outside, we're at the doorstep. Once they remove the DA and they want a partner, we are in. There's no government that is going to collapse here, because Helen Zille says so. We're not going to hear from Helen Zille. So, yeah. Look, we're being modest when we say if Rwanda is found that it has killed our soldiers, it must be held responsible. It was Rwanda. It was Kigali, it was Kagame who killed our soldiers. The support he gave to M23, and that M23 acting in a disrespectful manner they did to the South African soldiers. They knew they've got a backing of Rwanda. But now, why do you want to treat Rwanda like it's a friend, like it's progressive? Rwanda was prepared to take immigrants from London at the exchange of money. They are the ones who are working with imperialist forces to want to undermine DRC. We're not saying the government of DRC is perfect, but it cannot be undermined the way the guy is doing. Kagame and Museveni. So Kagame has got blood of South Africans on his hands, and nothing is going to change. Now we're told the bodies are decomposing. There's no clear passage to can go and collect the bodies. They've captured the South African base, by the way, and they're not telling you this in confidence. They keep on talking as if things are fine. Things are not fine. They've captured the base next to the airport. What is that airport? The Goma airport. Our base is captured there. Our soldiers are under the supervision of M23. When they want to go to a toilet, they ask for permission from M23 and they accompany them to a toilet. This were told by a soldier on the phone. Deputy President of the EFF was there. He says the only thing they haven't done to belittle us and make us more humiliated and violated is that they've not taken our guns. That's the only thing. But even if they carry those guns, what can they do? You're going to shoot and run away. Because you've got soldiers inside your camp and more soldiers outside your camp. So there's no need. They know you can't do anything with those guns. So they've destroyed the South African army. You could say we cut the budget, but you still send soldiers outside South Africa. You still send soldiers outside South Africa even when you don't have budget. You must first deal with your house first to be in order before you can go and help other people. South Africa's army is not in order. Someone was saying they've released fighter jets, hey, on good roads. There's nothing. There's no fighter jet, nothing. Till today, there's nothing. Where is that Roy Falk we're told growing up that is the best fighting machine? Where is it? Grounded. And then because this failure is done by favorites of the establishment, they are not exposing their failures. If it was a different government, for sure, the pictures of those soldiers of South Africa who are captured were going to be circulating now. The reason why we no longer see those videos of South Africans, they took phones away from them. They no longer have phones. So there is a big problem. We have no capacity. That's why I'm not saying let's go and attack. I'm saying withdraw. Let's regroup. Let's regroup and retrain. And if Rwanda has got anything to do with this, let's go for them. Because we're not going to have Rwanda dictating to us. And Kagame speaking to Cyril the way he was doing. We know Cyril is weak, but he remains the president of our country. The way he was addressing Cyril, he was addressing us. He can't address us like that. He can't kill our people and not be challenged on that. And SADC agrees that the Rwandan army had something to do with what is happening there. Who is the commander-in-chief of the Rwandan armed forces is Kagame. We are not saying DRC is in a good hands and therefore it's just being provoked. By how DRC has dealt with issues in Eastern DRC is something that needs to be resolved if we're to have a permanent resolution into that crisis. But to undermine colonial borders because you think you've got a backing of France and all imperialist forces to an extent of challenging the biggest army, South Africa, they've undermined us to the extreme. And South Africa, at some point, it might not be today because we are not in a rightful position to do so. Let the soldiers come back. Let our brothers and sisters come back. Let's give them a dignified funeral. And as part of a mourning nation, that demonstration by army at the opening of parliament was not supposed to come. They were not supposed to have that parade on Thursday during the State of the Nation address. You are going to parade what, man? Agar parading is to show us how capable you are. You are exposed. They're going to be intimidating us there with 21 gun salute as if they can use it anywhere else. It can only be used there during rehearsals. So if I was in the army, I would suggest if in parliament we don't go, we must be ashamed. The only way we are going to reclaim our dignity is by receiving those dead bodies, bringing back the soldiers, giving the dead bodies a dignified send-off, and regrouping and retraining and putting a very strong team that will go back and reclaim South Africa's place in the continental politics, because as things stand, we're a joke.
Now, if you listen to those clips that I've just played for you, you'd realize that it seems to be more American problem than it is South African problem, because if white South African can say that all Trump is saying is a lie, there is nothing horrible that is happening in South Africa. And another black person there, Julius Malema, is also saying that they have their personal issues as a country in South Africa, and they will use their laws to solve and address those issues. So the same script was also said by President Ramaphosa. So you would wonder, why is President Trump so much worried about this? And this is where now the issue comes in. You know, South Africa is the place where Elon Musk was born. And Elon Musk is a great supporter and someone who is very, very senior in current Trump administration. He has always had issues with the call for expropriation of land without compensation in South Africa. And that is why I think he talked about this issue. Now, today I was going through X and I found a post that is interesting. This is in a response to yesterday's tweet by Cyril Ramaphosa, who was saying that South Africa is a constitutional democracy that is deeply rooted in rule of law, justice, and equality. South Africa's government has not confiscated any land. That is what he was saying, and I won't read it all because I read it in my previous video that I posted yesterday. So Elon Musk quoted that tweet and said, "Why do you have openly racist ownership laws?" That is the question that Elon Musk asked. So this tells you who is in control of this warning by President Trump. Another guy calling himself Jonathan Pelsen responded to Elon saying, white South Africans are being persecuted for their race in their home country. Also, white South Africans are one of the few population groups that are fiscally positive when immigrating to Europe. We should allow more immigrants of white South Africans. And Elon Musk responded and said yes. So from this series of tweets alone, you are able to know who is in control of the threat that Donald Trump gave to South Africa. We are waiting to see whether they will go full throttle. But I think this is just Elon trying to use his power to really show that he's in control. And I think we will see how South Africa is going to respond to it. If the investigation that Trump talked about is going to yield anything serious, we're also waiting to see. But from the horse's mouth, a white South African has said that nothing horrible is happening to them. Tell me down in the comment section what you think about this. And if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.